Northern European short-tailed sheep. Native sheep. The most valuable characteristics of native sheep you cannot see with your eyes. They are well adapted to local geographical conditions. They know how to make good use of fodder in local landscapes. They are good mothers and healthy. They have diverse appearances, for example, colors, markings, horns, knobs. They are valuable in future breeding work due to their good health, fertility, and adaptation to local conditions. The Northern European short-tailed sheep do not have wool in the face, they have only short hair. Their wool is double, so it's double coated. Usually there is a softer inner wool that protects from cold, and there is a more coarse long hair up on that to protect it then from rain and snow. It do not have wool on legs, it has only hairs on legs. And then it has a short triangular shaped tail. As you can see where the arrow is pointing, it's wider up and then it's narrower down. The Northern European short-tailed sheep is traditionally a win-win animal. Everything was used to advantage and the joint profit of it was good. Many short-tailed sheep are rare in their own geographical location. Not all has a conservation program and not all receives national support for conservation. Many sheep farmers are old and keep sheep in small flocks. Their wool is not suitable for industrial use because there are different types of wool in the fleece. Industrial machines break the coarse cover wool and that makes it sticky. Old native sheep can still be found in Russia and in the Baltic countries. Latvians and Lithuanians have not made national-wide inventories in their countries. Inventories has been made in Estonia. There are still many places where the Northern European short-tailed sheep has no protection, for example, in many places in Russia. You found them in Norway, Sweden, Finland, Estonia, Lithuania. But there are also this kind of Northern European short-tailed sheep, for example, in Karelia, Vepsan area, and in Udmurt area. The Northern European short-tailed sheep have adapted to a wide range of North European local conditions. You found them in Finland, in Estonia, in Sweden, Norway, Iceland, Greenland, Faroe Islands, UK, Germany, Poland, France. The French Crescent sheep, it is believed to have been left there by Vikings on a small island. So it's a kind of dwarf sheep to be found on this island. Then in Russia, Lithuania, and then there are also crossbreeds of different Northern European short-tailed sheep. So, for example, Svensk Finulsfår, which is a fine wool sheep. There has been crossed Swedish and Finnish types of Northern European short-tailed sheep. Norsk Pelsau, Norsk Spelsau, Ryafår is then, they have a type of wool that is well suited for making carpets. From this table you can see the size of this sheep, and you can see that if we look at the eaves, then in some sheep breeds, for example, Ryafåret, it can be from 60 to 80 kilos. Whereas then in some of the Swedish smaller populations, the eave is weighing from, for example, 20 kilos to 30 kilos only. And the ram is always slightly has slightly more weight, and also the amount of lambs that they get varies a lot. The Finn sheep is well known for getting many lambs, and the average is the number first, and then in parentheses you can see then how big the litters can be. If we have a look at the amount of this sheep, you can see that there is a huge difference with most of the Icelandic sheep, and also Finn sheep is a big population, even if Finn sheep has been a lot of crossbreeded nowadays with meat breeds, so the pure Finn sheep population is much more smaller. But then there are some that there are very few of, for example, Tabaktorps 4, there is a little bit less than 100 only left. And the statistics continue here, and you can also see here that Romano sheep there is a lot of, as also Faroe sheep. Also the Polish sheep here, Rasosovka, there is a lot of. And then again, there are some very small ones that are very rare, and where the conservation work is being carried out to keep them from dying out. The Soya sheep is believed to resemble most like the wild mouflon sheep that used to be roaming wild, and to a small extent still. And it has this very typical back. If you have a look around the tail, then there is white. It's a kind of wild appearance, mouflon appearance on this sheep. And pay notice to that they are, all of them are having horns. North Rolandsay sheep in Scotland is used to graze on coastal seashores and to drink seawater as well. And on here on the picture you can see the very wide range of different colors that this sheep has. Hebridean sheep with a long cover hair on here. Rains a lot in these islands, so it is very well prepared to protect itself to these heavy rains that may come in this area. Shetland sheep lives at Shetland Island, and this sheep has been, the wool of this sheep has been used a lot in knitting already in historical times, and are famous for their very nice patterns that they are making on this island of this sheep wool. On Iceland, there are Icelandic sheep and Icelandic leader sheep. So there is a special group of slightly larger sheep among these Icelandic sheep that are taking the leader role in the flock. And they are then separated in keeping these. And there is a lot of Icelandic sheep, of course, and from the wool you can see that the climate there is pretty mild, maritime. There rains a lot, and there is not as much soft under wool as you, for example, have on the more continental northern European short-tailed sheep. Gammelnorsk sow, villsow, also called, you could translate that to wild sheep. They are not really wild, but they are roaming quite freely and are gathered then once a year in order for shearing and for slaughtering. And they are grazing these west coastal areas of Norway on heather and in very rocky areas, and they're close to the sea. In Norway, they have a system of state stipendiates. It means that a person is getting paid to keep up or create something with the only aim. They have also an aim of educating people. So, for example, Amy Light Food is creating products out of this gammelnorsk sow and also participating in fairs and educating people in doing this. But her job is actually to keep on carrying on this old tradition of using all parts of the sheep. There are many subpopulations of the Swedish native sheep, and some of them have been in the conservation for some time already, and some have been found quite recently. And their organization on native sheep has huge knowledge in preservation of small populations and rescuing them from dying out. Gute sheep was a group of sheep that were found on small islands close to Gotland Island, and their organization was established already in 1977. These sheep, both the rams and the eves, have horn. 100 years ago, the sheep in Finland were used to be divided into two different groups, the Western Finn sheep and the Eastern Finn sheep, and the Eastern Finn sheep then being a little bit higher and also having more lambs, and these Eastern sheep were then taken for the breeding of Finn sheep. So most of the sheep then in Finland is based on this eastern, a little bit higher and bigger sheep. You find them in all different colors, brown, black, gray and white. And on this photo you can see then colored Finn sheep. And a smaller group of Finn sheep is called Kainu grey sheep, that where their conservation work was started quite recently, and they were found then this type of sheep that are born black, and then they change the color into grey, and the tongue is lilac. This same type of sheep you find also in Sweden and in Estonia among the native sheep there. On Åland Island, there was then preserved this smaller type of sheep that was most likely the same, that was called the Western Finnish sheep 400 years ago. And and it was then found as small herds on Åland Islands, preserved, and they had their own organization, a breeding organization for these sheep. And among Åland Islands, you still find horns, very often at rams. And as, for example, in the other Finn sheep, then horns have nearly been breeded totally away. There are occasionally still being also born Finn sheep with horns. In Karelia, today in Russia, there are also these old type of native sheep belonging, and then also to the Northern European short-tailed sheep group. There is another photo of them, and especially this white one here in the front, it resembles a lot of the Eastern Finnish sheep. And of course, these areas used to be all in Finland before, so it's just these sheep that have been preserved here in a more unbreeded way. Finn sheep is very breeded, so here you find these old populations that not has been breeded. And one more photo from another location, also in Karelia. If we go further east to Kenjärvi, then here is also kept this unbreeded population of Northern European short-tailed sheep. In all the former Finno-Ugric peoples areas in Russia, you find these North European short-tailed sheep, and this is Udmurt sheep, about 200 kilometers east of Moscow. In this area, you find also these very unbreeded populations of this short-tailed sheep. Skudde sheep is a sheep from former East Prussian area, today Kaliningrad area, and it was preserved in Germany, and today you find it also back in Lithuania. And this sheep has a quite funny story about it. It is a quite small Northern European short-tailed sheep, and it was, at least I've been told, that it was preserved due to that they were keeping this type of sheep for lion food in some zoological parks, and they are like healthy and fertile and reproducing well, and nice, full of meat for wild animals. But today, then yes, rescued and loved and kept by many people, both then in Germany but also in Lithuania. Northern European short-tailed sheep was also found in Estonia in the 2000 to 2006 and 7. There was made national-wide inventories, and this type of sheep were then found at many geographical locations in Estonia. This is one of the first photos we managed to make that proves that this sheep was still. And here you can see these black ones that are being, the color it's getting in the sun turn brown. And a white Estonian native sheep. Very clearly you can see no wool in the face or on the leg. The Estonian native sheep is a very good grazer of semi-natural meadows, also in forested habitats. They are very good mothers. For example, in part of the populations there is still preserve the ability to dig a hole winter time in the cow stable, and they put their lambs in the hole and cover it with straw in order to protect it from cold. An Estonian native sheep ram, the one, and pay notice too that it is so unbreeded that there are different types of wool here. On the back it has actually here now a little bit softer types of wool, but here around the neck you can see there is this coarser wool. Example on the opposite, here you have this coarser wool on the back, and in the front you have then softer wool. And this is of course just an example of that nobody have been taking care of these sheep and using their fleeces, so they have randomly been breeded with each other, and wool was not in the focus. During the Soviet Union it was mostly kept them for the meat, and the whole wool and spinning and this industry was not that well developed. This is actually now the photo of that native sheep Eve. You can see she have also horns. So occasionally they have horns, only few with horns, and most are polled. And this was the sheep that made this hole for its small lamb to protect it against cold. In Estonia we did also find sheep with no outer ear. You can see here to the right this sheep with no ears, and it seems like the hearing is normal, but the outer ear was not there. So some say that it may be a result of an inbreeding, whereas others say that it may be an old mutant, because the first thing that the animals are losing when it's very cold outside, then it's the air. So this kind of sheep would then be very nice and hardy in very cold climates. Also, the fleece of Estonian native sheep is very diverse. These are actually twins, and you can see how one has this very curly fur, whereas the other one has very straight wool. And sometimes it happens that the sheep is changing the color of the fleece totally at one time. Here you can see a black-born sheep that suddenly changes all the color of the wool into white. It's not known why this is happening and how this is happening. Some may tell that it may be due to stress or some other big changes in the metabolism, but yes, I don't know why this happened, but it has happened at some Estonian native sheep as well. Let's have a look then at 3 different countries and how their systems are built up, the conservation programs. So in Finland we have these 3 non-governmental organizations, one for this Åland sheep and one for Finn sheep, and then the Kainuu grey sheep is being taken care of by Suomen Lammasyhdistys, which is the Finnish sheep organization. And you can see that there are most of Finn sheep, and you can also see the change, a slight change to fewer in Finn sheep, but a big growth in both Åland's sheep and Kainuu grey sheep, where they have managed to get more of these animals. In Finland, it's the Finnish Ministry of Agriculture and Forestry, which are the highest organ. In Åland, it's Ålands Landskapsregering, and there is in situ state support for farms keeping native breeds, Finland there is an Finnish sheep and goat register where all animals must be registered. And then there is for those that have joined this following up of data on the sheep, then the advisory program has also an own Nettikatras program which you can then also start to use, and you're able then to see the different parameters about your sheep. In Sweden there are many more organizations who take the conservation of Nordic or northern short-tailed sheep. You can see that this first organization has several of the smaller herds that are being worked with in their organization, whereas then Gute sheep has two different organizations who take care of them, and then Rya sheep, Swedish fine wool sheep, and Gotland sheep have each their own organization. And you can also see the amount of sheep of each of the type varies a lot. It's the Swedish Board of Agriculture who is about them. Of course, there is also the ministry, but they are taking care of being a negotiation partner between the organizations and the state authorities. And in Sweden, you get also in situ state support for farms that keep these native sheep. Gotland sheep do not, as far as I know, get it. Then there is also a Swedish Sheep Breeding Association, and then they have this breeding and animal register, Elitlam, that is being used. If we then go to Estonia, then there is not this strong coordination. There is an authority and you have to register all your sheep in Estonia. So that's similar to Finland and Sweden. There is also something similar to an agricultural board, but the connections between them and the Northern European short-tailed sheep organizations is not that strong, perhaps, as you can see the negotiations being carried out in Finland and Sweden. There are two different organizations, non-government organizations. So Kihnu population of the native sheep has an own organization, and then the Estonian Sheep and Goat Union is taking all of the other Estonian native sheep populations. There is also Kihnu population in that one, so you can either choose to be a member of this only taking care of Kihnu populations, or then the other one that have all different populations. Besides this, there is also an organization for native breeds and plants that do not do any breeding registers or anything, but they are dealing with information and spreading information about the native sheep. As you can see, then the Kihnu native sheep has been registered as a breed quite recently in 2016, and in 2022 all the other Estonian native sheep populations were registered as a breed in one group. So there, for the time being, there is not that strongly collected semen from different sheep. And in situ conservation is not also happening at any educational farms, for example. It is totally taken care of by private farmers. And there has actually been not done any branding of Estonian native sheep as a whole. Kihnu sheep, there has been done a lot of work in order to brand this Kihnu population. All the conservation work is then done on voluntary basis and by farmers who keep the animals. There is not in situ state support for native sheep, only for endangered breeds. And even if the population of Estonian native sheep is very small, then only Kihnu sheep has got the endangered breed registration done, and the whole population of Estonian native sheep has not yet got that status. If we then have a look at the state support for native breeds, then in Sweden and Finland you can get this kind of support. You can see that in Finland it is much higher, the amount you can get for animal units, than what you can get in Sweden. There are also some, like one sheep is 0.15 animal units in both Sweden and in Finland, so that goes from EU. Estonia has no national conservation program for native breeds, but it's possible to get endangered animal support if it is officially registered as an endangered animal. Russia has no national conservation program for the North European short-tailed sheep and no financial support. But for example, Kenyari National Park works with the protection of local native sheep. So at local level, there may be initiatives done on conservation of native sheep. If we have a quick look then on the challenges of conservation work, you can see that Icelandic sheep manage the best. There are the most of them. Norwegian Wilsow popularity has also increased, and we can note that there are many crossbreeds within meat sheep and Finnish sheep, and mostly it's small conservation associations who do the large work of taking care of the Northern European short-tailed sheep. This Northern European short-tailed sheep do not have its own union organization, which would unite all of them. Their wool is suitable for handicraft and subsistence farming, farm tourism, as therapy animals, and landscape maintenance. It is challenging to find new modern products for all types of wool and slowly grown meat. Wool is actually not automatically an agricultural product in the European Union. And one possible solution is to use the European Union Council regulation on the protection of geographical indications and designations of origin for agricultural products and foodstuff. For example, the native Shetland wool, there has been done such an protection of that. You can only call it native Shetland wool if it comes from the Shetland Islands. All these small organizations keeping up the hard work of conserving of the Northern European short-tailed sheep, they have their own homepages, but they tend to be only in their mother tongue, so many of these pages you won't find any English translation. Luckily today it's possible to access the information anyway, as online sources is quite easily in most of the cases can be translated via Google to be able to read the information on the pages.